The capital city of the Zephyr Empire stretched across rolling hills of violet crystal and silver spires. Sunlight reflected off the towers, scattering rainbows across the streets below. It was a city built on beauty, tradition, and power. Here, the alien Princess Lyria walked with her usual grace, her long silver-blue hair flowing like a river behind her. She was known throughout the Empire for her composure. Calm, clever, and composed, no situation could shake her. Yet today, she walked through the palace gardens. Lyria felt something she had not felt before Rooney's. She had heard whispers from her advisors that a human delegation had arrived. Humans were new to this sector of the galaxy, and many aliens considered them unpredictable, even reckless. The very thought of meeting a human warrior made Lyria's stomach twist. Though she refused to show it, the gardens were quiet, save for the soft hum of the bioluminescent plants and the gentle splash of water from the fountains. Lyria paused by a fountain carved from glowing stone, her eyes scanning the horizon. She had always found calm in nature, but now her mind raced with questions. What kind of human would stand before her? Would they respect her? Would they see me as just a princess, or as a leader? From the shadows of the tall spires, a figure emerged. Lyria stiffened, her long fingers brushing against the edge of her ceremonial robes. The figure was tall, broad-shouldered, with a presence that demanded attention. Captain Kale stepped into the light. His uniform was simple but practical, designed for battle, yet there was a quiet dignity in the way he carried himself. His eyes, a clear steel gray, scanned the gardens before settling on Lyria. For a moment, neither spoke. Lyria tried to steady her breathing. She reminded herself. She was the princess. She had trained her whole life to remain composed, even in the face of danger. And yet standing before her was something different, something unfamiliar. Something human. Kale spoke first, his voice deep but calm. Princess Lyria, I am Captain Kale, representing the United Earth Forces. I come in peace, though I understand your caution. Lyria nodded slowly, careful to keep her tone even. Captain Kale, I have heard of humans. You are new to this region of the galaxy? Her words were polite, yet her mind was alert. New, yes, but strong. Unpredictable, I suspect. Kale took a small step closer, not threatening, but confident. Yes, we travel far, and we seek allies, not enemies. I hope we can learn from each other. There was something in his eyes that made Lyria hesitate. Humans were supposed to be clever, perhaps even brave, but there was a calm courage in him. Not arrogance, not cruelty. Just certainty. She had never met anyone like it. She forced herself to remain composed, though her fingers twitched slightly at her side. The palace advisors hovered at a distance, their faces tight with worry. Some whispered among themselves, skeptical of this human warrior. They had seen humans act recklessly in other systems. Some had even doubted whether he could survive the journey through Zephyr's space. Yet here he stood, alive and unafraid. Lyria gestured to the benches near the fountain. Walk with me, Captain. The gardens are beautiful, and it is customary to meet guests here before formal introductions. Kale inclined his head and followed. As they walked, Lyria tried to maintain her composure, noting the smallest details about him. He walked lightly, though each step seemed purposeful. His eyes scanned constantly, yet he did not seem nervous. He exuded the confidence of someone who had faced danger and emerged victorious. Your palace. It is unlike anything on Earth, Kale said, breaking the silence. His voice carried genuine curiosity, not flattery. Lyria kept her expression neutral. The Zephyr Empire values beauty and order. We believe that strength lies in wisdom and in the ability to lead without fear. Kale nodded. I understand. On Earth, strength is respected too, but it is often shown differently. We respect courage and action above all. Lyria tilted her head slightly, intrigued. Humans valued action, yet they seemed to think carefully before acting. Perhaps they were not so reckless as her advisors feared. Perhaps there was more to these creatures than she realized. As they reached a small bridge over a sparkling pool, a sudden rustle of movement drew their attention. Shadows shifted near the edges of the garden, and the hairs on the back of Lyria's neck stood on end. She sensed danger, an instinct honed over years of court intrigue and palace life. Kale noticed it too. Without a word, he stepped slightly in front of Lyria, his hand brushing against the sidearm at his belt. There was no panic in his movements, only precision. Lyria found herself momentarily startled by how natural his readiness seemed. From the shadows, 3 figures emerged. They were alien mercenaries, armed and aggressive, their intentions clear. The palace guards were present but hesitant, unsure how to act without orders. Lyria's heart raced not from fear, but from the realization that Kale was calm in the face of real danger. Kale's voice was low and steady. "Step back. Do not make sudden moves." The mercenaries hesitated, sensing his confidence. Then one charged forward. In a blur of motion, Kale moved with speed and precision, disarming the attacker and tossing him to the ground without serious harm. Lyria blinked, unable to hide her astonishment. "Human. Remarkable," she whispered, almost to herself. The words were uncharacteristic. No one had ever impressed her so openly in such a short moment. Kale glanced at her, noting her slight slip of composure. "Are you all right, Princess?" Kale asked, his voice still calm, almost gentle. Lyria straightened. "I am fine." "Your skill is impressive." Her voice was steady, but her mind raced. "How can one being be so calm and strong at the same time?" The mercenaries, seeing their leader incapacitated, retreated into the shadows. Kale relaxed slightly but remained alert. Lyria's palace guards approached cautiously, their expressions a mixture of awe and suspicion. "You handle yourself well," Lyria said, still striving to maintain her regal composure. "Most humans would flee in such situations." Kale gave a small smile, not arrogant but confident. "Most humans, yes. I do not consider myself most humans. I act when action is needed, and I protect those who cannot protect themselves." The words struck Lyria deeply. She had always been surrounded by advisors, guards, and allies, yet none had spoken with such quiet authority. There was no boasting, no pretense, only truth. For the first time, Lyria allowed herself a moment to study him closely. His features were strong, his posture unwavering. Yet there was something in his eyes, compassion, intelligence, and courage combined. Something rare, something almost human in its honesty. They continued to walk through the gardens, but the earlier tension had shifted. Lyria found herself curious, a feeling she rarely allowed. She wanted to know more about this human, about his experiences, his thoughts, and why he moved with such confidence. "You are not like other aliens I have met," Kale said suddenly, breaking her train of thought. "You are calm, but I sense a strength beneath it. You are a leader, not just a figurehead." Lyria paused, almost caught off guard. No human had ever spoken to her in such a way, recognizing her authority without flattery or fear. She inclined her head, a small sign of acknowledgement. "Humans are direct," she said softly, trying to regain her composure. "We do not always appreciate directness in our court." Kale's smile was subtle. "I respect those who lead wisely. I do not fear truth." The statement lingered in Lyria's mind. Truth, courage, courage, courage. She realized that this human was different from any alien she had met. She would need to learn much about him, and perhaps to guard her own heart more carefully than ever before. As the sun dipped behind the crystal towers, casting long shadows across the gardens, Lyria and Kale approached the palace gates. Their conversation had moved from formalities to a subtle understanding. A connection was forming, not romantic, not yet, but a bond of mutual respect and cautious curiosity. Lyria looked at him one last time before entering the palace halls. "I must stay calm. I am the princess, but this human, he is unlike any warrior I have ever known. I must watch him closely." And Kale, unaware of the deep impact he had on the princess, simply nodded, ready for whatever challenges awaited in this strange, beautiful world. The night settled over the palace, but the story between the alien princess and the human warrior was only beginning. The palace had returned to its usual rhythm by morning, but the events in the gardens lingered in Lyria's mind. She walked through the corridors, her thoughts tangled. Kale's calm confidence had unsettled her more than she would admit. He was polite, respectful, yet there was an undeniable strength in him that made her question her own instincts. I must remain composed. I cannot allow myself to be distracted. Yet the palace was not peaceful for long. Rumors of Kale's abilities spread quickly through the court. Some of Lyria's advisors whispered that humans were dangerous, that their unpredictability could threaten the Empire. Others, impressed by his bravery, urged caution in judging him. Lyria listened quietly, absorbing their words while masking her own impressions. When Kale was invited to a formal audience with the princess, he arrived in the grand hall with measured steps. The hall gleamed with polished floors and high ceilings adorned with ornate crystal chandeliers. Lyria sat on her elevated dais, her posture regal, her expression calm. Though beneath it she felt a mixture of curiosity and unease. "Princess Lyria," Kale said with a bow. "I am honored to meet you formally." Lyria inclined her head, keeping her voice steady. "Captain Kale, your actions yesterday were unexpected. You have proven yourself capable in ways few humans or aliens could match." Kale's gaze was steady. "I only act when needed, Princess. I do not seek recognition." That simple honesty made Lyria pause. Few in her court spoke so plainly. Even advisors with years of experience would hesitate, choosing words carefully to hide motives or fear. Kale did not. That was unusual. The audience was interrupted suddenly by a report from the palace sentries. A group of Zephyr rebels had been spotted near the northern gates. They were armed and intent on sabotage. Lyria's eyes narrowed. Despite her calm exterior, a spark of determination lit her features. "Prepare the palace defenses," she ordered. "I will accompany Captain Kale to assess the situation," her advisors protested, but Lyria ignored them. She had grown up learning to lead, to make quick decisions in times of danger. She could not sit idle while the city faced threat. Kale stepped forward, offering his assistance. "I will work alongside you, Princess. We must protect the palace and the citizens." As they approached the northern gates, the rebels appeared in the distance, armed with energy weapons. Kale's instincts kicked in immediately. He directed the palace guards with precision, organizing defensive positions while remaining calm and unshaken. Lyria watched him carefully. She had always known that humans valued courage, but she had not expected such efficiency. He does not panic, yet he commands respect. Even my own guards follow him without hesitation. The rebels advanced. Kale moved with agility and strength, neutralizing threats with minimal harm. Lyria assisted by using her strategic knowledge, directing guards to key positions, and using her own limited combat training. Together, they created a synchronized defense that was both efficient and elegant. At one point, a rebel broke through the front line. Charging toward Lyria, without hesitation, Kale intercepted, pushing the intruder aside and preventing any harm to the princess. Lyria's pulse quickened not from fear, but from a mixture of respect and something unfamiliar. "I have never felt so protected by anyone, not even my closest advisors." After the skirmish ended, the rebels retreating into the shadows, Kale turned to Lyria. "You handled yourself well, Princess. Few leaders would have directed their forces so effectively under pressure." Lyria felt a rare smile tug at her lips. "You are not wrong, Captain. And you? You are exceptional. Few humans or aliens could face such danger without faltering." Kale's expression remained calm, but his eyes carried a hint of warmth. "I do not seek praise. I do what is necessary. That is all any of us can do." As the adrenaline faded, Lyria realized she was observing him more closely than she should. His courage, combined with his respect for others, was unlike anything she had ever seen. Yet a part of her wondered, could she truly trust someone so different? Her advisors had warned her repeatedly about humans. They are unpredictable. They may seem honorable, but their ways are not ours. Later, in a private chamber, Lyria requested Kale join her. She wished to understand him better, to determine whether his presence in the palace was a true ally or a potential threat. "You have proven your skill in combat," she began, sitting with her hands folded. But there is more to being a leader than strength. You must understand loyalty, diplomacy, and subtlety. Kale nodded, listening intently. I am willing to learn, Princess. I understand that this world is not mine, but I wish to act with respect, not arrogance. The princess studied him. His words were sincere, yet humans were known for their unpredictability. Could someone so powerful and honest truly fit within her world without disrupting it? She decided to test him not in combat, but in judgment and restraint. Tomorrow, she said, we will conduct a training exercise. Not combat, but a test of decision-making. You will lead a group of palace guards through simulated scenarios. I will observe. Your choices will determine if I can trust you fully. Kale accepted without hesitation. I understand, Princess. I will do my best. The next day, the exercise began. Lyria watched from a high balcony as Kale directed the guards through a series of simulations, intruder attacks, hostage situations, and environmental hazards. He remained calm, thinking quickly, adjusting strategies as new challenges arose. He balanced caution and action, showing both intelligence and courage. Lyria felt her respect for him deepen, though she still fought to maintain her composure. He is not just a warrior. He is a thinker, a protector. He makes decisions with care, not recklessness. During a scenario where a group of guards faced a simulated fire in a corridor, quickly organized an evacuation while neutralizing the threat. Lyria could see the guards' trust in him. They followed orders without hesitation. She herself felt a strange sense of relief, realizing she could rely on him in ways she could not rely on many others. After the exercise ended, Kale returned to the balcony where Lyria waited. How did I do? He asked, his tone neutral, though a hint of curiosity shone through. You exceeded my expectations, Lyria said carefully. You are not only brave, but wise. You can act with caution when needed, and without hesitation when action is required. That is rare. Kale bowed slightly. I respect your judgment, Princess. Your guidance has helped me understand this world better. For a moment, silence settled between them. The connection was quiet but undeniable. Lyria felt a mixture of emotions, admiration, curiosity, and something she did not fully recognize. She struggled to maintain her usual composure. I must warn you, she said finally, her voice steady. My court may not see you as I do. Humans are unfamiliar to them. They may distrust your methods, even when your actions are honorable. Kale's expression did not waver. I expected as much. I will not act for approval, only for what is right. If that causes discomfort, so be it. Lyria studied him, realizing that humans possessed a courage that went beyond combat. It was a courage of conviction, a willingness to act according to principles, rather than fear of judgment. She had never seen this in any alien she had known. The day ended with Kale returning to his quarters, and Lyria walking alone through the palace gardens. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the silver spires. She allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. He is different. He is not just strong or brave, he is honest, thoughtful, and principled. Yet he is human, unpredictable. How can I reconcile admiration with caution? As night fell, Lyria knew that the trials of trust were only beginning. The human warrior had proven himself in battle and in strategy. But she would need to see more judgment, more restraint, more proof that humans could be allies, not liabilities. And Kale, unaware of the weight of her scrutiny, rested in his quarters. Confident in his own abilities, yet curious about the princess who observed him so closely. For him, it was not just a matter of duty, it was a chance to understand a world unlike any he had known. A world led by a princess, whose calm strength matched, if not surpassed, his own. The bond between them grew quietly, tested not by words, but by actions. And as the first stars appeared over the palace towers, both the human warrior and the alien princess understood that the trials of trust would continue, and that the choices they made next would shape not only their futures, but the fate of the Zephyr Empire itself. The night was quiet over the Zephyr capital, But it was only a brief calm. From the shadows beyond the northern gates, a rogue faction of alien insurgents gathered. They were bold and numerous, seeking to strike at the heart of the Empire. Their weapons glimmered under the moonlight, and their movements were coordinated, practiced, and dangerous. In the palace, Princess Lyria and Captain Kale were already awake, reviewing strategies and patrol reports. Lyria had insisted on being involved. She would not leave the defense of her people to chance. Kale, calm as always, stood by her side, his presence both reassuring and steady. "This will be a test of everything we have prepared," Kale said, his tone measured. "We cannot underestimate them." Lyria nodded. "We will act together. Strength alone will not save the palace. We must be precise, coordinated, and united." Her voice carried authority, and Kale noticed that it was not just a title she bore, it was the weight of leadership. Earned and respected. When the insurgents attacked at dawn, chaos erupted along the palace walls. Energy weapons fired across courtyards, and guards scrambled to defensive positions. Yet Kale moved calmly through the chaos, directing soldiers with precision, predicting enemy movements, and neutralizing threats before they could escalate. Lyria, standing atop a balcony, surveyed the battlefield. Her heart beat steadily, not from fear, but from focus. She issued orders, repositioning guards and directing reinforcements. Her mind raced, analyzing the insurgents' tactics while keeping her people safe. Beside her, Kale moved seamlessly. A perfect combination of human intuition and disciplined strategy. At one point, a section of the outer wall began to collapse under concentrated attacks. Lyria's guard captain was at a loss, unsure how to reinforce it without exposing their forces. Kale stepped forward immediately. "Move the archers to the side towers and have the engineers focus on the breach. I will cover them." Without hesitation, he led a small group of guards to engage the insurgents threatening the wall. Moving with speed and precision, his human reflexes and combat training were unlike anything the Zephyr soldiers had seen. Lyria watched, impressed, but also concerned for his safety. "You are reckless," she shouted over the noise, though her voice carried concern rather than anger. Kale turned, giving her a brief nod. "Calculated risk, Princess. Trust me." And she did, though she felt the flutter of tension she had never allowed herself before. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but in Kale's case, that unpredictability was guided by skill, intelligence, and a deep sense of responsibility. The battle raged for hours, with the palace defenders slowly gaining the upper hand. Lyria and Kale worked in tandem, their combined leadership unmatched by any other force on the battlefield. They moved through the chaos with clarity, Kale neutralizing threats and protecting civilians, while Lyria coordinated strategy and logistics. During a crucial moment, a group of insurgents managed to infiltrate the palace interior, heading toward the princess's chambers. Lyria's heart clenched. She had trained for combat, yes, but her priority was the safety of her people and her city. Kale was already moving toward the intruders, faster than any Zephyr soldier could follow, with precise movements. He neutralized each threat, disarming them without fatal harm. Lyria watched, amazed by his efficiency and restraint. He does not act for glory. He acts for protection. That is what sets humans apart. After the last insurgent was subdued, Kale turned to Lyria. "Are you safe, Princess?" She nodded, a mixture of relief and admiration in her eyes. "Thanks to you, Captain. Without your skill, this could have been a disaster." Kale's gaze softened. "We acted together. The people's safety is never the work of one person alone." Lyria felt a warmth spread through her chest, a rare emotion for a princess who was taught to mask all feelings. She trusted him fully, in a way she had never trusted anyone outside her court. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but Kale had shown her courage, intelligence, and respect in equal measure. As the sun rose, the remnants of the insurgent forces retreated into the wilderness, defeated but not destroyed. Lyria walked through the courtyard, observing the exhausted but victorious soldiers. She approached Kale, who had been checking on the injured and ensuring no one was left behind. "You handled yourself with remarkable discipline," she said. Your actions saved lives today, not just mine, but the people of the Empire. Kale shook his head modestly. I only did what anyone should do. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is duty, nothing more. Lyria smiled faintly, a small but genuine expression. Few would have managed it so well. Humans are capable in ways I did not expect. Kale looked at her, curiosity in his eyes. And you are unlike any leader I have met. Calm under pressure, yet decisive. Strong, yet thoughtful. I have learned much observing you. The princess felt her composure soften just slightly. She had always been aware of her strength and intelligence, but hearing acknowledgement from someone outside her people, someone human, felt validating. She had expected skepticism or caution, yet here was honesty, straightforward and sincere. The palace council gathered after the battle. Lyria spoke, her voice calm but commanding. The city is safe, thanks to the cooperation of our defenders and our unexpected allies. Captain Kale has demonstrated not only skill but respect for our people and our traditions. Humans may be new to this region, but they can be trusted when proven by action. The council members were impressed, some reluctant, but ultimately convinced by Kale's conduct. Lyria had made her decision. Kale was not just a warrior, was an ally, someone who could stand beside her, and perhaps someone she could respect on a level few others had achieved. Later, in the quiet of the palace gardens, Lyria and Kale walked together, away from the scrutiny of court and council. The sun had risen fully, bathing the gardens in soft light. The air smelled of flowers and damp earth, peaceful after the chaos of battle. You are different, Lyria said finally, her voice quieter than usual. Humans are often seen as reckless, impulsive, or even arrogant. But you... She paused, searching for the right words.
You are
Precise, courageous, and honorable. Kale regarded her, calm as ever, yet there was a hint of warmth in his expression. I am not perfect. I make mistakes. But I try to do what is right, and to learn from experience. Lyria allowed herself a small, rare smile. That is why I trust you. Not because you are perfect, but because you act with integrity. They walked in silence for a few moments, a quiet bond forming between them, built on shared experience and mutual respect. Lyria realized that humans, while different and unpredictable, could bring strength and insight to situations she had always faced alone. And Kale, observing the princess's poise and intelligence, knew that she was a leader who could command respect, not just through title, but through action and character. I believe, Lyria said softly, almost to herself, that together we could face anything. Not just threats to the palace, but threats to the Empire itself. Kale's eyes met hers. If you will have me, princess, I will stand by your side. Always. The princess felt a flutter of something unfamiliar, a mixture of respect, admiration, and cautious trust. She had faced many battles, seen many warriors, and met many leaders, but this human was different. He inspired confidence, courage, and calm in a way no one else had. I accept your alliance. Captain Kale, she said, her voice steady, though her heart raced slightly. Together we will protect this empire. Kale bowed slightly, acknowledging both her words and the trust she placed in him. It will be an honor, princess. As they walked through the gardens, the city waking behind them, the bond between the alien princess and the human warrior was forged. Not just as allies in battle, but as the beings who had discovered mutual respect, understanding, and the quiet beginnings of a deeper connection. The Zephyr Empire was safe for now, and the humans had proven themselves more capable than anyone had predicted. Lyria knew that challenges would come again, as they always did in a galaxy full of intrigue and danger. But with Kale by her side, she felt a renewed confidence, one that came not from titles or rituals, but from courage, honor, and trust between two very different beings. And somewhere deep inside, Lyria allowed herself a thought she rarely entertained. Perhaps humans were not only a force to be respected, but also remarkable. The sun climbed higher, scattering light across the crystal towers, and the palace seemed to shine brighter than ever. In that moment, the princess and the human warrior knew that their journey together had only just begun, that whatever the galaxy might throw at them, they would face it side by side.